again, we're very fortunate to have such an expert lecturer, Mr. John Hucknall. Your lecture and your wife's lectures have been absolutely fantastic.
Final one tomorrow.
I loved that you actually had your wife talk about what it was like to be a wife.
Yes, yeah. Well, women tend to get forgotten about in Papua New Guinea. It's just like the guys go out and do all the macho stuff, and the women are back home and tend to be forgotten about. So we thought they needed at least some.
The other side of the
story. Well, I mean, I was out 15 days a month, up to 70 days, and she was there by herself. So, and sometimes very much by herself. Nobody else was there.
And she today at 3:30 is going to be a talk. And that's Morek's talk, is that right?
That's her final talk.
This is part 2 of the life of a wife of a patrol officer.
Yeah.
Now you made
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very unique story, actually. Something very special that's going to be happening this voyage with our cruise up to Papua New Guinea. And it all involves a class ring and World War II. Well, we are joined by John, one of our onboard guest lecturers here. John, first of all, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
You're here for a special reason, which we found out about a few days back, of course. And this is quite unique. Tell everybody the story.
So I went up, I knocked on his door, and I found our enrichment lecturer. This is John Hucknall.
Yes, well, like Hucknall.
Yes, that's a great last name. It's an interesting last name, and you know a lot of interesting facts. It all goes together.
Yes, yeah. This morning, if you come along to the theatre, I'll be making a presentation about an American high school graduation ring that I found, or I didn't find it. It was presented in 1938.
Okay.
It was lost in Papua New Guinea during the Second World War in 1942.
Okay.
It was found in 2013. I got it in 2017 and repatriated it to the owner's family in New Jersey later that year. But the story is a lot more complicated than that.
That sounds cool in and of itself. That's awesome. And okay, so you'll tell us more about it in the
yeah, you'll get the whole box of dice tomorrow. This morning.
Yeah, that's so cool. It's so cool. And like, did you go like looking for rings or like?
No, that's what the story's all about.
Okay,
It's 6 degrees of separation. How I became involved and how it all came about it is amazing. It is really amazing.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, well, I'm excited for it. So you have that, and you're not just going to talk about that. You have a few more lectures coming in.
Yeah, on the next sea day, on the 4th, I'll be making a presentation on an introduction to Papua New Guinea. So anybody that's at all interested in Papua New Guinea, thinking of cruising there or whatever, then I'll be able to give them a potted history and geography lesson on Papua New Guinea, 70,000 years in 45 minutes.
See, interesting last name, interesting knowledge in your brain. I love it. And you have another one later on the last day also. Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Cool.
And that, by the way, the introduction to Papua New Guinea also includes a bit about the Second War and the American involvement in the campaign, the Coral Sea and everything else. Just to let the American guests know that they should come and have a listen.
All right, that's awesome. So that'll be in the first one, the one about the ring.
Yep.
So that'll be
that's this morning.
Right, that's this morning at 11:15 in the Princess Theater.
Yep.
So make sure that you are there and enriching yourself with John Hucknall. Thanks so much for coming on the Wake Show.
It's a pleasure, no problem.
Folks, don't go too far. I'll be right back with a little bit more.
Good morning, everybody.
Hi, Morag here.
John here. The reason for the masks and our location is that we're locked down in a mandatory quarantine in a hotel in Brisbane, having just flown back from London, and excuse the scruffy face because we haven't had a shave for nearly a couple of weeks. We were engaged by P&O Cruises to make 5 presentations between Fremantle and Dubai, and on a 12-day cruise. So they flew us from Brisbane to Fremantle, and we jumped on the Arcadia and off we went. And we were 4 days into the trip when the pandemic was declared, and Bob's your uncle. We headed off for Durban, and we refueled in Durban and then cruised up to Southampton. So we were on the ship cruising for 32 days, virus-free, and another 2 days in Southampton until they could organise flights for us back to Brisbane. But we were asked to keep the passengers engaged as much as possible, so we went from 5 presentations to 12, and had we had some of our other resources with us, we would have been able to do even more.
And luckily our presentations are our personal life adventures, so we're able to keep the passengers engaged, and they would want to come back each time so they could hear the next episode in our journey. It was like reading a book and being in an enthralling story, so they turned up every day to have a listen to what was happening next.
And a lot of people had no idea about the various cultures and customs around the world that we talk about, and they were enthralled by some of the information. And we got stopped on many occasions, sitting down, having a cup of coffee. The dinner table discussions were quite amazing, and we spoke to hundreds and hundreds of people on the ship over that period of time.
And we kept a lightheartedness to a couple of our presentations, because we talk about living in isolation in remote areas in the various countries that we've lived in. And we kept it lighthearted, but there was a lot of tips that will help people today in today's circumstances, so it went over really well.
And one of my presentations was about customs, cults and cannibalism, but we had plenty of food on the ship, so we weren't going to actually get to that point. But anyway, we'd love to pass on our regards to Tim Donovan, Lee Childers, Stu, Jen, if she's still around, Matt Thompson and his wife Kim, Duke. We were on a ship with Duke twice, different, Bernie and Duval. Bernie, a big hug to you if you see this, Bernie, and Callie and Kaylee. So from us to you, Chris, Stormy and Dory on dry land, at least in Santa Clara. Hope to catch up with you again soon.
Keep safe, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Yeah, maintain that distance. We are. Cheers.
Well, a very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Hello and welcome here to the Palladium Theatre for our morning presentation. It is my pleasure to stand in front of you today and welcome on board not one, but 2 guest speakers. We're getting 2 for the price of 1, everybody, today. It's absolutely fantastic. These are our adventurers, our people I mentioned on the first night, if you were here in Showtime, John and Maura Hucknall. They're going to be telling us some absolutely fantastic tales of their travels around the world. Lots of great presentations coming up, but today they're going to tell you a little bit more about that now. So let's have a big round of applause and welcome to Arcadia, John and Maura Hucknall.
Thanks, Nick.
Thanks.
Good morning, everybody. Somebody, oh, there she is. Hello.
Yeah, and we've got our fan club in the front. They haven't had breakfast yet.
Oh, yeah. I'm John, obviously. This is Morag, my wife. I'll just put this little thing on here so we know what we're doing. A road less travelled. This particular presentation is to give you a bit of a taster of what's to follow. We've come prepared with quite a few presentations, and yeah, and you'll see at the end of the slide there the next 4, and then we have others, just in case. But in the meantime.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's like a good class group, isn't it? Now, first of all, isolated living. This is just a test run for you. When I chose this subject 5 years ago, I actually had in the title, it was actually living in isolation. So this will give us a good sort of first-hand look at what we're going to propose that we do for the next few months. And I had early living in isolation 50 years ago. Now, we'll get on, we'll make it as light-hearted as possible, because I know a lot of you are starting to feel that you have to have something to keep you going. And here we have another little deja vu. In our early presentation, In our early presentation, I said to you that we emigrated from the UK to Australia, and we had just 2 ports, and it was in the Canary Islands and Cape Town. So it was 6 weeks, and we only stopped for once on the way from Cape Town to Fremantle. And the Fair Sky, if any of you remember, it was an early ship in the 1970s, no stabilizers, no GPS, and we got lost in the Indian Ocean. So we spent a couple of days going around in a circle, but feel relaxed, because not only do this ship have GPS, but our wonderful captain has his atlas. So we can feel quite relaxed that we're going to make it to the next port. And
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The computer was saying no, but it's decided to say yes. Thanks for coming along, and I hope you're suitably seated, well seated. Okay, great. If those of you that came along to our very first joint presentation, I alluded to this particular presentation about going out and arresting cannibals and black magic makers and all the rest of it. Well, this is it. There's mainly 3 stories in here that are absolutely true, because I was involved with all of them. There's some little bits of historical stuff that I put in to make the story a little bit easier for you to. Hang on, I've just got to change this, sorry. Right, on with the show. Please take note. Comments in this presentation do not reflect the values or ethos of P&O Cruises. They're personal reminiscences of mine. I take full responsibility for it, and I'm sorry if I upset a few people's beliefs.
Well, a very good morning, everybody. Hello. Hello, folks. Obviously, wouldn't normally come out here and give an introduction for our guest speakers at our 10 o'clock slot, but this is, in fact, John and Morix. It's their last talk today, so let's join me in giving them a big round of applause. I do want to say a big thank you to both of them, because they weren't actually due to stay on the ship this long, and obviously well, not like many of us, actually. And so I did ask them to provide some extra talks and things like that. Without hesitation, they've worked really, really hard behind the scenes to try and keep us entertained. I think they've done a fantastic job. I'm sure you're going to enjoy their final talk this morning. And we're handing over to John this morning. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, John and Maura Hucknall. Thank you, John.
Thank you. Well, good morning again, ladies and gentlemen. Nice to see that you've all got out of bed. We get a lie-in for the rest of the week. Anyway, what we've done with this particular presentation, it's a standard, I suppose, presentation about Papua New Guinea. However, what we want to do is to try, and those people that have been coming along to the presentations will see how a lot of what we've spoken about actually fits into the big picture of Papua New Guinea. So for those people who don't know, Papua New Guinea, or the island of New Guinea, is the 2nd largest island in the world.
Mm-hmm.